In this video, we're going to talk about how to calculate the slope of a line using the formula. So slope, remember, tells you the steepness of a line. It's the vertical change divided by the horizontal change, which is the rise over the run. Or in other words, you can think about slope as being the change in y divided by the change in x, which is how we get our formula. So we can use this formula to calculate slope if you're given 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2, that are on your line. This formula to calculate slope, which is called m, is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Notice that this is the difference in the y-coordinates divided by the difference in the x-coordinates. It's another way of saying find the change in y divided by the change in x. So let's look at an example. Let's calculate the slope of the line through the points 3, 5, and 7, 17. Remember that when we're given a point, we have an ordered pair, which pairs an x value with a y value. So when you're solving these problems, it's always a good idea to take a second to label your points so that we have everything in order when we plug it into the formula. So this first point, I'm going to call that x1, y1. And this second point, I'm going to call it x2, y2. So now I'm going to plug into this formula, m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So when I plug that in, y2 is what I've labeled as 17 minus y1, which is 5, divided by x2, which is 7, minus x1, which is 3. So now let's simplify this. 17 minus 5 is 12. And that's divided by 7 minus 3, which is 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3, so I have my slope, which is m equals 3. So let's calculate the slope of the line through the points -1, 4, and 5, -2. So once again, I'm going to label my points x1, y1, and x2, y2. Now I'm going to plug into the formula m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So y2 I've labeled as -2 minus y1 I've labeled as 4 divided by x2, which I've labeled as 5, minus x1, which is -1. So now let's simplify this. -2 minus 4 is -6 divided by 5 minus -1. Remember that the minus negative will become a plus, so we have 5 plus 1, which is 6. Now we have -6 divided by 6, which is -1. So we have m equals -1. Now let's calculate the slope of the line through the points 10, 3, and -6, 3. Let's first label our points x1, y1, and x2, y2. Now let's plug into our formula. We have m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So y2 I've labeled as 3 minus y1 I've labeled as 3 divided by x2, which is labeled as -6, minus x1, which is 10. So 3 minus 3 is 0, and that's divided by -6 minus 10, which is -16. 0 divided by -16 is 0, so I have a slope of m equals 0. Remember that this is one of our special lines. When we have a slope of 0, this graph will be a horizontal line. So in summary, remember that you can calculate the slope of a line given 2 points x1, y1, and x2, y2 on the line using the formula m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which tells you the value of the rise over the run.